The sponsor of Liftoff with Keith is the one and only CompassStrategicAdvisors.com, an experienced partner to help you navigate everything from cap tables to stock option and compensation plans and all types of backroom and marketing services. There is no better friend to the startup CEO than Compass. Check them out at CompassStrategicAdvisors.com. Well, this is an exciting moment. I've been looking forward to this conversation all day. We have Lucas Gentili from vCluster, the CEO of the company, at the Ignite studio. Here we are at AI Infra 5. Lucas, welcome.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
No, it's good. I know a lot of people are familiar with vCluster, but for just the broader audience that we're going to share this with, give us an explanation of where you sit today in the market.
Absolutely. We're essentially a virtual compute layer that helps neoclouds, AI clouds, sovereign clouds to build the software layer on top of the hardware. You know, we're in a hardware-centric space right now. Everything is about new chip generations, networking, how to build a data center. But somebody has to take care of the software stack in order to actually make that compute usable.
Yep.
And we help a lot with that.
And how do you do that?
So we effectively have an entire stack. It starts with vMetal, which really is from the metal up, turning it into like an AWS EC2-like experience, if you will.
Okay.
And then we have a Kubernetes layer on top called vCluster. That's how we started. We effectively got closer to the metal over time. And then we have a security layer on top as well called vNode. If you see security vulnerabilities like the NVIDIA escape last year, really where you can break out of containers onto the bare metal hosts, that is the kind of thing that we're preventing with our vNode product. It's in private beta, so it's very, very early as well.
It's exciting though. How did you come up with this idea to begin with?
I did not think we would end up in the AI infra space. In fact, when we started, there was really no AI infra space. Yeah, exactly.
So what happened?
Yeah, we were building, effectively a platform as a service product, and we were targeting large enterprises and their internal workloads. And then, I think AI infra happened.
Maybe with CoreWeave?
Yeah. CoreWeave was one of our earliest customers, really.
Picked a good one.
Yeah, they reached out in 2020.
Wow.
And that was a time where nobody was talking about GPUs and AI infra. And I remember one of the first conversations I had with the CoreWeave founders, and they told me we're building this AWS competitor, but with GPUs. And honestly, I thought they were crazy. That was a crazy story to hear back then. And props to them, they pulled that off for sure. And they pioneered the category. And I think that gave us a very unique insight and a very, very early position in that space to understand why that space matters and what is really hard in that space. And it's taking the hardware and ultimately making it run very resilient at scale and in a way that customers can consume it easily. And that is really what we help, a lot of operators today with.
So do you see yourself as sort of the new VMware model?
Yeah, obviously we're naming everything with V in our software stack, so you spotted that accurately.
That's accurate, yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually interesting. VMware, they obviously dominated private cloud data centers for the past, I would say, like 25 years, right? And they had such a technological advantage that they built out over these years. But when you look at modern AI data centers, they can't run the traditional virtualization stack anymore. And apart from like the Broadcom acquisition and all of these topics, right? There's a lot of concerns around running a more legacy stack in these data centers. So what we're seeing a lot of people do is, they build and reinvent everything from scratch from the bare metal up. And it really becomes a lot of homegrown, cobbled together solutions that ultimately are not giving you that level of like SLA, enterprise resilience and scale that most of these folks are looking for. If you're starting a neocloud with a couple of racks and you're starting out, that might be fine. And you might have like 3 customers to start with. If you're thinking about serving hundreds and thousands of customers and you have environments that dynamically move back and forth, right, where you have to reallocate compute. I know the environment's very compute constrained and you have long-term contracts, right? But over time, customers are expanding always, right? GPUs are failing, nodes have to be moved out, restarted, right? Rebooted, recycled, spares have to potentially moved in. It's a very, very dynamic environment and you just have to automate. That's really at the core. That's what we're trying to do.
So you've been doing this for a while now. Who are you identifying as your primary customer? Who needs you the most, basically?
I would say the more GPUs you have, probably the more you are in the need for automation.
Yeah.
And if you care about being in the market fast and moving fast in the market, then you're probably not in the game to hire a 30, 40, 50 person team
Yeah.
in order to build Kubernetes, dynamic node provisioning, self-healing infrastructure. It is probably better for you to buy that from a vendor,
Yeah.
get the commercial support, right? And then focus on what is really differentiated, right? Some of the, Nebius, for example, is one of our customers. They're very, very sophisticated. They're building a token factory right now. There's a flagship product that they're offering that runs on top of their infrastructure. It's very, very differentiated, these types of offers. And we think that's really where the value is. The value is on the hardware side, and the value is on the offering on top and the user experience. And that middle layer, you just want that to be taken care of, right? Just like with the traditional VMware business, you want that to work out,
It
right?
has to be a pretty good model.
Exactly.
So you're looking at all these different AI operators out there. What is it they need to be looking at, perhaps, that they're not today, but as you look down the road, maybe 12, 18, 24 months, what do they need to be thinking about?
Yeah, I think sometimes when we have a first conversation with someone, they're telling us we got everything figured out, right? And before we were in AI infra, we heard that with the enterprises as well, right? With AI infrastructure, the most common thing I hear when I ask questions after that statement is, oh yeah, we have this Ansible script here, and we're running this cron job bash here, and I'm like, what happens if that fails, right? What happens if the person who wrote that is going to leave tomorrow?
Yeah.
Does anybody understand what's happening in this like 5,000 line Ansible script that's configuring your network here? And that's very, very problematic if you don't have answers to these questions, and most people don't. I think those are everybody's talking about the power challenges, the supply challenges, right? And that is all valid, right? The supply chain is constrained, right? Energy is constrained, but your time is constrained as well. And where do you want to focus that? Do you want to focus that in terms of, plumbing together Ansible scripts? Probably not.
Yeah. So business overall, looking good for 2026, 20?
It's looking good, yeah, very,
It's
very
kind of
good.
because they let you park your car right here. I mean, you must have a lot of influence in the business here.
I wish I would have had such a nice car. My first car was actually BMW. It was not that nice though.
I think I had one too. I don't see my 2002 on the road that much anymore. It's too bad. Well, what's next then for you? I mean, it sounds like you've got a pretty busy roadmap already.
Yeah, for us, it's really about, there's a lot of infrastructure being deployed right now, and we're partnering much, much closer these days with NVIDIA directly. There is a lot of demand also in terms of, box solutions. Think of like the NVIDIA DGX SuperPod, and how do you bring that neocloud, neocloud, when that's your core business, you might actually say, I'm trying to automate things, but if you're an enterprise, buying a DGX SuperPod, you probably just want the software stack figured out and completely automated for you. So I think that is a main focus area for us. How can we help in these, packaged, validated solutions? And how can we partner directly very, very close with folks like NVIDIA, but also AMD and others in that space?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've taken a great approach in terms of the partnerships and go-to-market and strategy. Everything looks good. What's your biggest concern then as you look out?
Biggest concern? That is a good question. Obviously, I read the Wall Street Journal articles about OpenAI recently, and hopefully these rumors are not, triggering something.
Sure.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's a great space to be in. There's so much innovation and velocity. Yeah, you can, as a founder, you can just dream of that.
Yeah.
It's moving so fast. Even traditional enterprises, we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies as customers in the traditional public, private cloud sector, non-GPU workloads. Some of them are bringing now GPUs online, whether it is a telco building a sovereign cloud or an enterprise building an enterprise AI factory. They're moving so fast. You just wouldn't believe it. You work with a Fortune 500 company, and they want to bring your software in 3 months. That was unthinkable just like 2 or 3 years ago. And I think there's really a pressure to innovate and move fast right now, and that is very exciting as a founder.
Exciting times. Exciting event here. So glad to meet you. Thank you.